Good morning, everyone. I'm Kapoor, the moderator of this call. Thank you for standing by and welcome to first quarter FY22 earnings conference call of ONGC Limited. Today we have with us Mr. Subhash Kumar, CMD ONGC, and Mr. Pankaj Kumar, Director Offshore. Instructions for Q&A session will be followed soon. I would like to now hand over the proceedings to Mr. Subhash Kumar, CMD ONGC. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I am Subhash Kumar, CMD ONGC, and on behalf of ONGC, I welcome you all in this ONGC earnings call for quarter 2 and H1 FY22. Thank you all for joining us on the call. I am joined here by my colleagues, Mr. Pankaj Kumar, Director Offshore, Mr. Vivek Tangaonkar, CFO, Mr. Anupam Agrawal, Chief Corporate Finance, Mr. Binod Hallan, CFO, OVL is unable to attend, Mr. Rajrishi Gupta, Chief Corporate Planning and Strategy, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Chief Corporate Accounts and Financial Reporting, whose group puts in all the efforts to deliver whatever we are discussing today, Mr. Atul Chaturvedi, Chief Commercial and Treasury, Mr. Sanjay Bharti, again from Corporate Accounts, Mr. Nirmal Kumar, my colleague from ONGC Videsh, Mr. Chandrasekhar from ONGC Videsh Limited, and Mr. Prakash Joshi from Investor Relations. Mr. D.K. Agarwal from Director Finance Office is also there. ONGC has compiled its financial results for the quarter and half year ended 30th September 2021, which have been reviewed by statutory auditors. The financial results have already been released yesterday through a press note and sent to the stock exchanges. These have also been sent to analysts who are there on our mailing list. Here's a brief synopsis of the results. The company has earned a net profit, that is profit after tax, of rupees 18,348 crore during the second quarter of FY22 as against rupees 2,758 crore restated during the second quarter of FY21, an increase of 15,590, which in terms of percentage translates to 565%. Profit after tax for H1 FY22 has increased by rupees 19,428. That's again an increase of 597% from the restated profit after tax of rupees 3,254 crore in H1 of previous fiscal to rupees 22,682 crore in H1 of this fiscal. The increase in net profit during the current quarter and H1 22 is on account of higher sales revenue, mainly due to higher crude and VAP price realizations, higher other income, that is dividend, and opting for lower tax regime under Section 115 VAA of Income Tax Act 1961, which have been partly offset due to lower natural gas prices. The sales revenue for Q2 FY22 has increased by rupees 7,416 crores. That's an increase of 44% and is at rupees 24,262 crore as against rupees 16,846 crore in the corresponding quarter of the previous year. The sales revenue in the current quarter has increased mainly on account of higher sales revenue from crude oil by rupees 7,644 crore and value-added products by rupees 1,031 crore, which is partly offset by lower sales revenue from natural gas by rupees 665 crore and increase in Government of India share of profit petroleum by rupees 594 crore, mainly in RJON 90/1 by rupees 484 crore. Similarly, sales revenue in H1 FY22 has also increased by rupees 17,437. In percentage terms, this translates to around 59% from a figure of 29,781 in H1 of previous fiscal to 47,218 crore in H1 of FY22. The sales revenue in H1 FY22 has increased mainly on account of increased sales revenue from crude oil by rupees 17,656 crore, increased sales revenue from value-added products by rupees 2,295 crore, which is partly offset by lower sales revenue from natural gas by rupees 1,291 crore and increase in GOI share of profit petroleum by 1,223 crore, mainly in RJON 90/1 and Rava by rupees 975 crore and rupees 143 crore respectively. The billing net of VAT and CST for crude during the second quarter of current fiscal was at $69.36 per barrel as against $41.38 per barrel in the same period of last fiscal. That's an increase of $27.98, and in percentage terms it translates to 68%. The exchange rate of rupee versus dollar stood at rupees 74.09 vis-a-vis 74.39 in second quarter of FY21. So there has been some variation, but minimal one. Thus, realization of crude in the rupee terms stood at rupees 5,139 per barrel in Q2 of FY22 vis-a-vis rupees 3078 per barrel in Q2 of FY21, which amounted to an increase of rupees 2061 and in per barrel, and in percentage terms this translates to roughly the same as in dollar terms, around 67%. Similarly, gross billing for crude during the first half of the current fiscal was at $67.45 per barrel as against $35.05 per barrel in the same period of last year. That's an increase of $32.4 per barrel, which in percentage terms is around 92.4%. The exchange rate of rupee versus dollar stood at rupees 73.92 versus 75.07 in the first half of F121. Thus, realization for crude in rupee terms stood at rupees 4,986 per barrel in H1 of this fiscal versus rupees 2,631 per barrel in H1 of previous fiscal, which amounted to an increase of around 89.5% in INR terms. During Q2 FY22, the statutory levy stood at rupees 6,117 crore as compared to rupees 3,936 crore in Q2 of FY21. That's an increase of rupees 2,181 crore, and this in percentage terms is 55.4%. The increase in royalty on crude, that's of rupee 973 crore and such by 1,236 crore, is mainly attributable to increase in average selling price of crude from rupees 22,988 per MT in Q2 of previous fiscal to 38,608 per MT in Q2 of this fiscal. Similarly, there has been an increase in royalty on natural gas by rupees 32 crore on account of decrease in average selling price of natural gas from rupees 7,273 per 1,000 cubic meter in Q2 of previous fiscal to 6,225 per 1,000 cubic meter in Q2 of this fiscal. Similarly, statutory levies have also increased by rupees 5,169 crore. That's an increase of 75% from rupees 6,917 crore in H1 of previous fiscal to 12,086 crore in H1 of this fiscal. The increase in royalty on crude by rupees 2,459 crore and cess by 2,856 crore is mainly attributable to increase in average selling price of crude oil from rupees 19,650 per MT in H1 of FY21 to 37,419 per MT in H1 of FY22. Similarly, there has been a decrease in royalty on natural gas by rupees 67 crore on account of decrease in price of natural gas from rupees 7,255 per thousand cubic meter in H1 of FY21 to rupees 6095 per thousand cubic meter in H1 of FY22. The operating expenditure has increased by rupees 497 crore. That's an increase of 11% from rupees 4,528 crore in Q2 of FY21 to 5,025 crore in Q2 of FY22. The increase in Q2 FY22 is mainly on account of increase in consumption of material, that is 248 crore, mainly at the Dahej plant, by rupees 214 crore on account of increase in prices of spot LNG. Butter injection by rupees 64 crore, mainly at Mumbai offshore, due to increase in activities. Repair and maintenance 43 crore, transport of products by 61 crore again at Mumbai offshore, and staff expenditure by rupees 82 crore. This increase in operating expenditure has been partly offset by decrease in other expenses by rupees 98 crore, mainly on booking of fair value of loss on investment in OMPL by rupees 95 crore in Q2 of previous fiscal. Similarly, the operating expenditure in H1 FY22 has also increased by 1,138 crore. That's an increase of 13% from 8,685 crore in H1 of previous fiscal to 9,823 crore in H1 of this fiscal. The increase is mainly on account of increase in consumption of material, which is the largest portion of it, and attributable to mainly at the Dahej plant by 561 crore out of total increase of 582 crores in consumption of materials, on account of increase in prices of spot LNG, water injection 75 crore, mainly in western onshore and offshore, due to increase in activities, contractual payment rupees 119 crore and staff expenditure by 313 crore. This increase in operating expenditure has been partly offset by decrease in other production expenses by 89 crore, mainly at Mumbai offshore. There is a decrease of rupees 748 crore, that's around 52% in exploration costs, written off, survey and unsuccessful well costs in Q2 of FY22. That's 1,446 crore in Q2 of FY21 has come down to 698 in Q2 of FY22. Similarly, during H1 of FY22, there is also decrease in exploration cost, written off, survey and unsuccessful well cost by rupees 723 crore. That's a decrease of 28.1% from 2,573 crore in H1 of FY21 to 1,850 crore in H1 of this fiscal. The finance cost has increased marginally by rupees 142 crore from 437 to 579 crore in Q2 of FY22. Similarly, in finance cost has increased by 150 crore from 1048 in H1 of from 1048 in H1 of previous fiscal to 1198 in H1 of FY22. This increase is mainly on account of increase in interest payable due to increase in outstanding NCDs. DD&I cost for Q2 of this fiscal stood at rupees 3943 crore as against 3679 crore in Q2 of previous fiscal. This is an increase of rupees 264 crore, and in percentage terms this works out to 7.2%. The increase in Q2 FY22 is mainly attributable to increase in depreciation by 69 crores, mainly at Mumbai offshore, by 49 crore due to increase in number of hired IMR vessels and RJ91 by 24 crore, and impairment reversal of rupees 213 crore during Q2 FY21 on account of write-off of few wells in Frontier Basin during Q2 of FY21. Similarly, there is also an increase of rupees 606 crore, that's in percentage term 8.1% in DD&I cost during H1 of FY22 from 7502 in the H1 of previous fiscal to 8108 in H1 of this fiscal. The increase in H1 FY22 is mainly attributable to increase in depletion by 151 crore, mainly at Assam asset due to downward revision of PDR, that's proved developed reserve, depreciation by 124 crore, mainly at Mumbai offshore, and 124 crore again due to increase in number of hired IMR vessels, and impairment by rupees 331 crore. 130 crore impairment charged during H1 FY22, mainly at Nagalanka block, which is 72 crore. There is an increase in exchange loss by 417 crore from an exchange gain of 412 crore in Q2 of FY21 to exchange loss of 5 crore in Q2 of FY22. Similarly, there is an increase in exchange loss by rupees 508 crore from an exchange gain of 418 crore in H1 of FY21 to exchange loss of 90 crore in H1 of FY22. During the quarter, company has decided to opt for lower tax regime under Section 115BAA of Income Tax Act 1961 with effect from FY 2021. Accordingly, the company has recognized the provision for tax expenses and remeasured its net deferred tax liabilities. The net impact due to availing of option has resulted in decrease in deferred tax by rupees 8,541 crore and decrease in current tax by 1,304 crore. The company at consolidated level has earned a net profit of, that is profit after tax of rupees 18,749 crore during the second quarter of FY22 as against rupees 5,675 crore during second quarter of FY21. That's an increase of 13,074 crore, and in percentage terms this works out to around 230% or so. The increase can be mainly attributable to ONGC, our subsidiary OBL, and JV Opal. Similarly, the company at consolidated level has earned net profit after tax of rupees 25,596 crore during H1 of this fiscal as against rupees 6,760 crore during H1 of FY21, an increase of rupees 18,836 crore, and in percentage terms this is around 279%. The increase can be mainly attributable to ONGC, our subsidiary OBL, and again there is some contribution by JB Opal. Well friends, with this I finish my briefing of the second quarter results of financial year 21-22. We will be very happy to take questions from you. We would request you to restrict your queries on financial results only. Thank you. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we will open the floor for Q&A interactive session. To ask a question, you need to press 0 and then 1 on your telephone keypad. I'll repeat. To ask a question, you need to press 0 and then 1. First question of the day we have from Dutt Sabnis from Incred Capital. Your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Abdul Sabnis. My question first relates to gas pricing. Sir, the current formula for gas pricing that we have for the APM gas, if you look at that formula and if you look at the global prices that are prevailing in the current sort of calendar year, it is very obvious there is going to be a massive spurt when the next change is due, which is from 1st of April. My question is that are you aware of any move by the government, okay, which will result in that sort of massive price hike in gas not happening? I.e., is the government considering any change in formula, any cap or stuff like that? If you could comment on that, please.
So, Sabnis, is that the only question you are having for the day?
The second question, sir, relates to if you can give us any update on the productions on the KG block, specifically any timing on when you will put out a tender for the fresh gas supply. That's it. These are the two questions, sir.
Okay, so I think let me take the first question now, and second probably will re-emerge with the certain variants over the discussion, so that will be addressed in greater detail later. So as far as gas pricing is concerned and gas pricing formula is concerned, that's has been subject of deliberation and discussions and debate in at different forum. Right now we have a formula which is prevailing, and there is no reason to believe. I mean, we got ultra low prices also at certain point in time, which is this quarter actually happened to be or this 6 months, previous 6 months, which we just completed, were the lowest ever. And neither we have heard of anything, nor we believe that there is going to be any tinkering with it. But as far as ONGC is concerned, our long-term view and vision remains that at the end of the day, there has to be a free pricing as far as gas is concerned. So one is what we wish to look at. Another is as far as formula is concerned, definitely we are not aware of anything, and we don't think there will be anything to artificially lower the prices in case the prices emerging out of a formula are lower than that, unless that happens to probably align it with the prevailing market prices. That's how I look at it. But I stay short. My precise answer would be today we have a formula. We have no information or reason to believe that it will be in any way tinkered with to bring the prices lower.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Next is Bharat Ranjan from Antique Broking. Your line is unmuted.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello. Thank you. So, question is once again about this APM gas price increase. You are viewing a significant increase from 1st of April. So does it change any kind of economics in terms of the existing reserves or any other reserve which can be put to additional production?
We are not getting very clearly. If you can be little louder and maybe a bit slower.
Yeah. So with the increase in the APM gas prices, do you expect production to rise, or you're going to put any additional resources to increase production?
Yeah, so I think as far as production is concerned, we have projects coming up, and I think we will be discussing about our major project KG 98/2 later. Unfortunately, there is delay in production from that project, and we are trying to reassess the timelines. Unfortunately, in some of the countries where from the major pieces of equipment for the project are being sourced are still not out of COVID fully, and supply chains remain disrupted. We have tried to ensure that our people and teams are able to fly in, We have been partly successful and believe that in coming days our teams will be in their respective places. But as of date, to be able to give definitive timeline, it is very difficult.
So that is anyway free price gas. So I'm referring more to the APM priced gas. Is there any scope for you to push production up, given the fact that the pricing
So
will
on
be
gas
higher?
front, let me be on gas front. Let me be little clearer. Unfortunately, Tauktae has affected our operations significantly. In fact, while one would believe that it has affected offshore, which is a very obvious thing, it has in fact also affected our some of the onshore projects. Yeah. So I think we do anticipate certain underachievement in as far as gas is concerned this year.
Fair enough, sir. Secondly, I was looking at OVL OpEx. Over the last 4-5 quarters, we have seen a significant increase. Is it only a question of the new acquisitions going on production? Is that the only factor, or is there any other structural factors?
Just a minute. Okay, so the increase in OpEx at OVL level is because of the certain standby costs paid at Mozambique. You may be aware that in Mozambique right now there is a force majeure condition going on, and consequently instead of capitalizing those costs, which are the standby charges, they have been expensed. So that is the reason for the increase in OpEx.
Sure. Thanks a lot, sir. I'll come back in the queue.
Next is Mayank Maheshwari from Morgan Stanley. Your line is unmuted.
Thank you for the call, sir. 2 questions from my end. First was, I think you were earlier referring to this in terms of production delays. Can you just give a bit more granular outlook in terms of when you expect to go back to pre-COVID levels of production, especially on oil across OVL and ONGC domestic?
Okay, so I think as far as let me take both of them. So we have on oil front we have got lesser than anticipated production at WOS-16, where there is a delay in mobilization of MOPU Sagar Samrat, which was anticipated to be commissioned by now, but is getting delayed because of some of the operational problems as well as because of COVID. Then there is less than anticipated production from cluster 8 fields due to delay in installation of wellhead platforms. Again, part of which at least predominantly due to COVID impact. Tauktae has definitely affected our offshore and onshore production also. I mean, normally one would remember that it affected offshore only, but western onshore production also has been affected because of Tauktae. Then Ratna and R series, H2S package at R3, R13A well we could not install in time. There was a delay, so that has resulted in some production loss. And there have been certain unplanned power shutdowns and electrical faults caused by heavy monsoons in some of the onshore assets, which have resulted in overall. So this is the story on crude oil front. As far as natural gas is concerned, number one, there is a little bit of let's say underperformance at the level of Vashishta and S1 wells in eastern offshore. And that is due to certain reservoir related issues. Then WS-16 cluster due to delay in again Sagar Samrat, because oil and gas need to be produced together. Our major impact this year or maybe next year also will be on account of delays being experienced in KG-98/2 and our inability to precisely give the timelines by which we will be able to install and have the production from that. Loss in gas production due to Tauktae in western offshore is another, in fact that's the major impact. The gas has been significantly affected by Tauktae. And there is also an issue relating to offtake. And if you really remember, in the second wave, we had a lot of problem in offtake, and in addition, at two specific assets at Tripura and Rajamundry, we continue to have, or we had the problems relating to offtake at different points in time. Dahej and Gandhar field is a case of less than anticipated production, and then also the natural decline in production in Mandapeta, Parsala, Pudi, and the Maru fields in Rajamundry and the Tapti Daman block. So this is the detailed listing of what has resulted in underperformance.
Thank you, sir, for this. I think this is pretty detailed. Like when you are now looking forward, sir, like how much of these issues that you kind of
so let me
out?
also let me okay. So as a kind of current estimation, where we will probably, it will be useful for all to have where we could end up being in terms of year-end numbers. So if you really look at 2021 actuals were 22.53 as far as oil is concerned, and our anticipation for this year was 22.97. We will end up probably around 22 plus 2-3%, so around 2 percentage points. So we will be close to the actuals of last year, maybe a shade lower than that, but definitely lower than B21-22. So that is the oil front. As far as gas, OVL is concerned, OVL had actuals 8.51 last year. They had anticipated also 8.51, but they could end up being somewhere close to 8.31. So on a between ONGC and OVL, there could be a hit of anything between 0.6 to 1 MMT. As far as gas is concerned, gas actual was 22.10. That's standalone. And actually and we had anticipated this year substantial jump. We had anticipated to go to 25, but we believe that we will be closer to the actuals of 2021 rather than being able to go beyond, and could be a percentage point lower than or two lower than the actuals of 2021 as far as this year is concerned. Now, on a OVL level, again, gas is getting hit. It was 4.53, and we anticipate to be at around 4. So instead of actuals at a group level of 27.35, we anticipate to be around 3% lower at 26.5 or so. So it will be definitely 3 BCM less than the budget. Next year, actually, we will be catching up, and as far as oil is concerned, we hope to achieve 31.3 to 31.4, which is exactly equivalent to what we had for this year. However, as far as gas is concerned, gas will be, we had a budget of 29.7 for this year. We would be close to 29 or so for the next year. So that's the story. So whatever was the B for 21-22, we intend to and hope to catch up by 21-22.
Okay, sir. So that's basically about a year of delay in because of all these COVID issues and logistics issues is what you're kind of highlighting towards.
Actually, COVID issue, let me just deal with it. Actually, COVID issues we have faced due to both dimensions we have faced. One is, of course, disruption in supply chain, more of international supply chain than local, but it is not that local supply chain was not affected. And secondly, in fact, on gas front especially, we were handicapped by the offtake also. So that has been the problem, because despite the fact that prices were low or ultra low, fact of the matter is certain industries and consumers simply stopped operating during these periods. And obviously then whom to sell the gas, even if it is lowly priced.
Okay. And sir, I think just an extension to this question was like if you can give us certain numbers on how much are you producing of 98.2, and when you're kind of giving us this guidance for 2020 fiscal 23, what are the assumptions on 98.2 that you're building in?
So I think as far as 98/2 is concerned, as I have told, we continue to be affected by the supply chain. In fact, over the last month or so, we have very intense deliberations at different levels, and with all the key stakeholders, we have tried to assess with the very active interaction with the Indian embassies abroad to see wherever the the operations can be resumed, because operations in Singapore and let's say Malaysia stay affected, and affected very badly. Projects are not moving. As far as our current production from KG 98/2 cluster is concerned, it's close to around 0.65 MMSCMD from 2 wells, and production is likely to be ramped up to more than 1 MMSCMD. Additional production of 1.75 MMSCMD is expected from third well by December 21. So as far as rest of components are concerned, I am not in a position to give the definitive dates today, and that's something which is being frozen. Luckily, the movement restrictions seem to be getting eased. They are not lifted entirely. We were trying to depute our people and fly in our own teams also to different locations where the works are going on. We are in process of obtaining approvals, but unfortunately, physically only few people have been able to fly in today. Only few visas are available, and especially for Malaysia and Singapore, we are working very closely with the embassies. So to give definitive timelines which have every possibility of getting changed either way will not be appropriate on my part at this stage.
Sure, sir. Sir, my second question was more related to the entire point on decarbonization which the PM talked about in COP26. So I just wanted to get a sense of how ONGC at the group level is looking at the decarbonization efforts, and is there something more concrete you can give us compared to the last call?
Okay, so as far as ESG concerns on the whole are concerned, the company is very mindful. In fact, if you really look at our carbon footprint, we have done tremendous on the front of reducing it. And actually, because of not being spoiled for plenty, our compulsions to avoid gas flaring were both from economic considerations as well as because of our concerns for the environment. Because ONGC was pioneer in terms of coming up with a gas flaring reduction project as far as Mumbai High is concerned. So which was both actually from economic consideration as well as to reduce the carbon footprint. As far as there has been 12% cut in emissions densities since 15-16. So that's what we have done, and we are making substantial initiatives we have taken up in terms of global methane initiative. So this is an action-oriented initiative from United States Environmental Protection Agency, and we are working very closely with that. We have introduced dynamic gas blending technology in large diesel engines. We have introduced micro turbine technology for power generation at remote locations of ONGC, and we are working very closely with IOCL for carbon capture, utilization, storage for CO2 sequestration. Now, going beyond this, we are also mindful of emerging reporting requirements for integrated reporting. So both to address the issue relating to the whole set of issues. Actually, it is not only carbon. Carbon is only one part of it. We are addressing the whole issue in an organized manner. We are in process of appointing a consultant and are geared to address the issues both from reporting and improvement perspective, and couple of internal workshops have already been held, and consultants are in place, and the team is working on the whole set of issues around it, not necessarily only the carbon intensity.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Next is Sabri Hazarika from Emkay Global. Your line is unmuted.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Congratulations on good numbers. So I have two questions. Firstly, can you give a breakup of the dividend income in Q2?
Yeah, you can give me a minute. So we had total dividend income of 2,677 crore, out of which 201 is from IOC, 39 from OTPC, 600 from OVL, 1,771 from HPCL, and Petronet LNG 66 crores.
Okay, and nothing from Bangkok and Russian assets, right, for this year?
Nothing from?
From Russia? Anything from Russia?
No, so Bangkok is, see, that is a subsidiary of ONGC Videsh. They receive it and pass it on to us.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, got it, yeah. And second question is, just any comments on this news flows coming around regarding majority stake sale in Mumbai High? Sometime back also.
We missed actually. Huh?
Mumbai High 70%.
That's not a question relating to accounts. And I don't think it's a question at all. And let me also add in the same spirit, I don't think it's a question at all. Okay, I think you heard it clear and loud and clear.
Got it. Thanks a lot, and all the best.
It's an out of syllabus question.
Right.
Yeah, anything more?
No, that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, please have a nice day. In fact, I am mindful that invariably we end up disturbing all of you on Saturday or Sunday. So we have been guilty of that, but unfortunately we are a large group where, quite a few things need to happen before, our team gets to work on the numbers. So that has been always the constant.
So next we have Pinakin Parekh from JP Morgan. Your line is unmuted.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have two questions. My first question relates to OVL. Now, quarter on quarter, EBITDA is broadly flat, even though prices are higher. So, is there the entire cost surge because of Mozambique, or are there some other factors? And going forward, would this cost become the new normal at OVL, or should it reverse? And my second question is, sir, if we assume that global gas prices don't change from here till December end, what kind of prices do you expect in the new reset in April 21 versus the October reset of $2.79?
So I think first question first. As far as OVL is concerned, I think OVL is doing very well as far as some of its key projects are concerned. Of course, Mozambique has been a setback, and we do anticipate, if you really look at the developments in that part of the world again, we believe that outlook is improving, and we'll soon have improvement on that front. As far as cost structure is concerned, obviously this particular fiscal it has got, or half year it has got affected from Mozambique, but I think that's not going to be the factor. Cost could also look high at OVL front because production at some of the their international projects got constrained due to OPEC and OPEC plus restrictions. So I don't believe it is a trend which you can factor in for all times to come. But periodically you will see one or the other factor coming in, which could actually probably whatever is the natural behavior of cost, that you may find certain anomalies from that perspective. And OVL today is also looking for more opportunities. So OVL's outlook from that perspective are very good. Third thing which I also would like to say, that OVL at the end of the day enters a project on a competitive terms. So when you enter a project, it enters with at a plus minus certain dollars to the prevailing price regime or prevailing long-term outlook. So it's never, it does not have in majority of the cases advantage which one takes normally. So there are two regimes actually. You take early risk and you end up having a large discovery. Look at Vietnam, for example. We went at exploratory stage and had everything to our credit. In other situation, you go to a project like which is mid-development or early development like Sakhalin. Now, Sakhalin, we entered at a stage where risk-return profile had improved a little bit, but still the commerciality had not been declared. But it has been an enormous hit. On the contrary, there could be a project which is under development or under production. Obviously, you will get to enter only at the price very near to the prevailing price or long-term outlook. So the risk profile is entirely different across these three sets of options, and also the return accordingly is high. So the chances of failure are high, and obviously if you are successful, you get to retain the large part of the pie. So it's a kind of risk, and OVL has taken very judicious decisions in the past to balance the considerations and take an optimum position in all acquisitions. So, but coming back to the cost, it is unlikely to be a new normal, because Mozambique, I believe, will resume soon. It's too large an asset to stay in the conditions like the one prevailing today, and as and when that happens, you will see improvement. As far as global gas prices are concerned, obviously I'll leave it for you people to guess, because your number crunching is much better than ours. We can and there are few months which also are yet to expire before the final calculation can be made. But I'm sure your laptop in front of you will be giving a number which is significantly higher than what we are getting from 1st October. It's a question of factor, how many times higher, that's the only question.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Next is Soumya from Spark Capital. Your line is unmuted.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is with respect to the debt at the console level. Can you give a breakup of the debt? What is the debt between subsidiaries?
Breakup of?
Debt at console level.
So, our consolidated debt on 30th of September is 109,000 crores as opposed to 119 on 31/3. So there's a reduction of around 10,000 crore plus. Now, reduction is largely at ONGC, which has come down from 15,023 to 7,897. MRPL has come down by around 1,900 crores to 37,685. Sorry, OVL. MRPL is practically at the same level as last time at 24,412, and HPCL is again 1,000 crore, 1,600 crore less at 39,010.
Thank you, sir. Helpful. So next question is with respect to your CapEx plans. Is there any rethinking about the CapEx plans because of this, production outlook revision? And what is your plans for the FCF usage, given that, the commodity prices are pretty favorable and our FCF outlook is expected to improve substantially?
The
free cash flow, the free cash flow usage. So.
Okay. So I think a couple of things. One is that as far as our level of activities for next year are more or less frozen, so they stay at current level, and there will be, you will see only a marginal. Just a minute. So I think as far as capex is concerned, we are trying to ramp up activity, as you would have heard, and we will, however, in terms of expenditure, remain very close to what we have been doing each year. So we would be in the range of around 29 to 32,000 crores. That's the likely capex, and it is unlikely to increase considerably even in the immediately following fiscal. And your second question was? Cash flow. So I think as far as cash flows are concerned, we would have, certain unfinished part of agenda at OPaL level also, as we have shared in the past that we have the intention to infuse funds. We are awaiting certain approvals, and we are a good dividend payer also. If we have improved, ability to pay, we pay, and that you would have seen along with the declaration for this, which incidentally I received no question. But on an overall basis, the company and the management has a vision to grow in a truly integrated world-class company. So whatever it takes to make that happen will be done.
Thank you, sir. Just one follow-up there. The point you mentioned about OPaL infusion. So what could be the rough quantum there?
Quantum could be, not really large. It could be around 5 to 6,000 crores.
5 to, sorry?
5 to 6,000 crores. Yeah.
Got it, sir. This is helpful. Got it, sir. This is helpful. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sir, shall we go ahead and take one last question?
Yeah, please. Last one.
The last question of the day we have from Rajiv Agarwal from Sterling Capital. Your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and good set of numbers. So could you tell me what is the status of the Iranian field under OVL? Hello?
Just a minute. So there have been some positive developments. I'll request my colleague to give you specifics. Just a minute, you give me. So actually now they are considering development of the project through a domestic, this is from the press also, you would have read that they are now considering development through NIOC has signed an agreement with the domestic company, Petropars, and as far as we are concerned, we have possibility of taking some stake. And as far as development contract, etc., is concerned, we are in process of looking at it as and when. So it's a question of due diligence is going on, but we believe that whatever number one we have spent in the past, we will definitely get to reimbursement for that, and beyond that we would have some share. What are going to be the terms and conditions and specific exposure on account of that? That's something very early, too early to predict at this time.
So how much we have invested in that gas field?
$95 million for 100%, and our PI is 40%. 35.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Okay.
So with this, I would like to now hand over the floor back to Mr. Subhash Kumar for his final remarks. Over to you, sir.
So thanks a lot to all, and sorry for bothering you on a Saturday again, but I think I have told the reason for that. Invariably, it ends up being the case that we have to compile the accounts after getting from so many entities, and we end up choosing this day. Also, it's a little freer for us to take time off and talk to you people. Great talking to you. We value your participation and inputs in this call, as well as and when you follow up individually also. Our investor relations cell, just to reiterate, is ever ready and very anxious to receive your calls, and they will be happy to provide any additional information which you may require, which you might not have got opportunity to list at this meeting. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
And special thanks to Harpreet again for organizing all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My pleasure. I would like to thank all the investors to join the call. That does conclude our conference call for today. You may all disconnect now. Thank you and have a pleasant day.